Welcome back to Salt Creek TV. In today's episode, we'll be building our auto top-off system for the 75-gallon build. Alright guys, the system is now 2 months old, and I've gotten somewhat tired of refreshing the RODI water manually. So it's time to get the ATO built, and I'm going to do this as kind of my first how-to video. So let me show you what we're going to be working with here. The first item we're going to be using is actually the freshwater reservoir. I got this from a local store. This is actually 3.4 gallons, as you can see here, and it's going to fit in this space between my sump and that white baffle you see there, almost like a glove. If I would have tried to make this on my own with the dimensions, I probably couldn't have done it better. It's kind of crazy. I found it in the store, but that's awesome. 3.4 gallons, guys, is probably going to get me through a week of top-off water, which is just right. So that's the first item there. The second items you see here, we're going to install a PM1 to work with the Neptune Systems Apex, and we're going to do that through the breakout box. Here I've got some plumbing supplies. That's a 30-foot Mirlock push connect line there with a T and an inline ball valve, which I realize now I need to order another one of those, but we can still pretty much finish the build with what we've got. And last but not least, we've got our items for our auto top-off here. We got a bracket. We've got 2 float switches, one with a snail guard and the upper one without. We've got an aqua lifter, and we've got our cabling, or our tubing, to run from the freshwater reservoir to the return chamber where I'm going to be refilling the fresh water. Alright, so let me give you an idea of what we're going to be doing here today. So this is the view from my fish room. This is about 20 feet from where I'm standing here to the back of the aquarium where we're going to be running our tubing to. Here's the sink that I use for all my water changes. And there's my RODI unit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that T that you guys saw and the inline ball valve in conjunction with this tubing here, and I'm going to drill a hole in the floor right down there below the RODI unit. I'm going to run that cabling from the fish room here all the way back to the aquarium, and putting the inline ball valve here, the reason I'm doing that is so I can redirect the water into these buckets here in the fish room so I can continue my water changes in here. And I can also have the RODI water go straight into our freshwater reservoir. So, like I said, the hole's going to go down here on the floor with the tubing, and it's going to run all the way about 20 feet in behind the sump here. And this area here is where the freshwater reservoir will go. So that tubing that's running through the crawl space is going to come up behind here and through a hole that's already been drilled. Actually, it's going to come over the edge here of this baffle, and I'll drill a hole in the top of the freshwater reservoir, and I'll be able to turn my RODI unit on from the fish room and refresh it once a week. Some of you might say, hey, isn't that a risk of flooding? Well, for me, no, not really, because I only refresh it when I'm actually here at home, and I always run a timer when I do it so I don't forget. And so I'm not really worried about that at all. Alright, so let's get started. Alright, as you can see there, the hole has been drilled. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this flashlight right here, and I'm going to go ahead and turn it on, set it over the hole, so I can see where I'm going when I go down in the crawl space in just a second here and grab the Mirlock tubing. I'll be right back. Alright guys, here comes my least favorite part. Being 6'4" and going in a crawl space, they don't really go together, but here goes anyway. Alright, so the worst is over as far as that goes. Here's our tubing. It just fell back down. After having to go back down a second time, I finally got the tubing up from the crawl space. So what I'm going to do right here is, here's the tubing. I'm going to take my cutters, I'm going to cut this off straight, nice and flush, so when it goes into that push lock, it's not going to leak. Alright, there we go. And I'll use my T, my push lock T, from here. Let's push it in there. Alright, I'm going to take all my slack up from the crawl space, and I'm going to line this up and see how much of this tubing I need. Cut it right about here. Alright, push that in there. Alright, now I can use this spare tubing for my water changes. Got a little piece here, extra piece of tubing. Let's go ahead and pop that in here. And I'll run my inline ball valve out of there. And my extra tubing. Alright, so that part of the build's done. Let's move on to the next part. Alright guys, I just wanted to show you here that this is working. It's putting the water in the bottle here. Got the RODI running in the fish room, and looks like this is going to be a real good deal. Alright guys, just wanted to show you, give you a little bit better of a look at this freshwater reservoir before I go ahead and put it in the stand, because I think it's pretty cool. Maybe this can help you guys out that are running 75-gallon display tanks or less. Again, this is the 3.4 gallon reservoir. Should last about a week depending on your environment and evaporation, etc. But kind of like this. I only paid $35 for this. Again, I got it from a local store. It's kind of like Walmart. It's called Meyer. And for those of you that don't live in the area, if you want to order one off the internet, I'm sure you could. MEIJER.com, Meyer.com. It comes with, this is glass right here. And then the top is, I guess, kind of like an acrylic. But it comes with hinges and it opens, as you can see here. Also came with this little filter here, which is pretty much worthless. I might use this as like supplemental filtration in my quarantine tank or something like that, or I might not use it at all. It also came with this piece of foam, which I'm going to use to put underneath it when I place it in the stand. But anyway, I know eShops is usually the kind of the cheapest when it comes to buying things like this online, and they're actually, what I saw was 2 gallon reservoir, and they wanted $60 for it. Now that was all acrylic, so this is almost twice the water volume for half the price at $35. So anyway, I'll go ahead and put it in the stand, but I wanted to show you guys a little bit closer look at it. Alright guys, so I've got the rest of the hardware hooked up. The rest, what I have left here is the bracket. And so what I've done is I took this bracket and I put it in my sump to measure about where my my float switch needs to go. And I determined that I need to go up to about the 3rd hole here. So I'm going to take these zip ties here that came with it, and I'll go ahead and line that up here. I usually like to use this little rib right here because it gives the zip tie something to support and hold on to, because these switches are kind of bulky and heavy. So we're just going to take this on that 3rd hole and run that through there. Alright, fasten it. Alright, you can see there I got that kind of underneath that rib there. I don't know if you guys can see that, but now I'm going to pull this good and tie it. Alright, and then we put our top float switch on. I'm wiring this as my emergency switch. This is going to be my on and off switch for my auto top off. This will be my emergency switch. So I'm going to mount it right about here. Grab the other tie strap that comes with. Make sure you keep it behind the peg for the float. Fasten that in real good. Doesn't move around on you. Alright, and grab your scissors or your cutters, whatever you got there. Get rid of the access, and there you have it. Let's go put this in the sump. Alright guys, all the hardware is now in place. You can see the bracket with the float switches has been placed in the sump. You can see that the freshwater reservoir already has water in it. You can see the breakout box. I have yet to connect the wires. And you can see the PM1, which is daisy chained off of the WXM, so we can use that with our Apex. The only thing that's not been installed in terms of hardware is the aqua lifter, and that is because it's going to take the place of my skimmer on the EV4 outlet. I just really don't need my skimmer on there anymore. So all of that will be in the next video, so please stay tuned. It's coming up real quick. And as always, thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe and comment, and I'll see you guys next time.